Hey, my loves. It's Tiffany, the Miracles Coach. So it's been a little minute, honestly, since I have recorded a Miracles Unscripted episode, but I'm so excited to be back because I have so much to share. I am working on day 5 of the Surrender Business Experience. I know you got part 2 to day 4 the last time I uploaded an audio, but today I really want to talk about getting paid to exist. Now, I talked a little bit about this in my last audio, and I was like, I have so much more to say about this. And honestly, I feel like this is something that God has been dealing with me about, right? Like really showing me this is, I don't even know how to start, but let me just say, I feel like surrendered business has a lot to do with learning how to get paid to exist. Because I think that a lot of times people think that getting paid to exist is something that is far-fetched, or that it only happens for people who are somehow lucky in some way, or they've earned their way to it by creating a ton of passive income streams, or maybe they were born into wealth, or even women who have rich and wealthy husbands, But no, it really is something that you have to view and embody as an identity and a frequency, right? Because even when I first got married and stuff like that, my husband and I struggled a ton. It wasn't until more recently, and I mean, I've been with my husband for 30 years next month. But what I'm saying is that I didn't have this identity. Now, at first, we were poor. So there was no such thing as getting paid to exist, right? But as I came into my business and stuff like that, I started learning about manifestation and the different laws of the universe, and I really started to see that a lot of these laws of the universe are right here in the Bible. A lot of things that we just do not consider that God is saying to us. But all of that to say, I think when I started to look at the fact that I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have now 4 children, I homeschool them. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that and running a business, or that and working, or that and being successful in your own right and all of that. But I think I started to look at things like, well, if I do all these things, why wouldn't God want to compensate me for that? And so I started to see how my husband working and me doing all of that, his work started to pay off, and my prayers and all of that behind the scenes, like the energy together, our combined energy started to create a life for me where I realized like, oh, I actually can kind of get paid to exist. But even when I started my business, it wasn't something that I had grasped yet. Even though I had already experienced it, like in years prior to starting my business, it was like, now I felt like, oh, well, now it's time for me to work. Now it's time for me to do all the things. Now it's time for me to get myself together and be successful for myself. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, like I said, but what I had to realize was that I was trying to take all of the responsibility of providing for myself when I already had provision. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that it's an identity that you really have to adopt. Like you really have to decide that this is who I am now. Identity first, and then the frequency follows. So remember in the last episode, I told you guys that I was so excited about March, mainly because it was my birthday month, but tons of other reasons as well. I decided that after I took the time off from work, I slowed down significantly with what I was doing. Like, I wasn't doing Miracles Unscripted episodes as much. So like January, February, I felt like I was on fire. Like I was constantly going, constantly recording for y'all. I think I was getting 2 audios up a week with Miracles Unscripted because they really aren't hard to do, because typically they're just me sharing. But I noticed that I started to get a little more like picky about what I was going to share, because now it's public. And so I haven't even been doing private episodes anymore. I've literally just been putting them all up publicly because I just kind of felt like, well, I should just share. But I was getting to a point where I felt like, well, I don't really have anything to share anymore. I don't know. The month of March just felt like I had really cool manifestations. And when I'm talking about getting paid to exist, I'm not talking about pennies. I'm talking about like 4 and 5 figure manifestations. Like this is stuff that I've been doing for years, but like it's really picked up in the past year. And it's almost blowing my mind sometimes, because even though I know I'm a miraculous manifester, but it's like, sometimes I look at it and I'm like, wow, God, okay, is this what we're doing? But it's the energy, right? It's all about the frequency and the energy that you're putting out, and the certainty also that you're putting out. Whole other conversation for a different day. But in March, even though January and February were like really just fiery and just crazy and just like just so much momentum, I don't know, for some reason I felt like in March I started to slow down. Like once my birthday came and I stopped working, it's almost like I killed my flow in a sense. And so I started to feel kind of stagnant, and all of a sudden I started to feel like I don't have anything of value to share. And I even had like the money manifestations and stuff like that. They were nice, but I still wasn't feeling like expansive like I had been over the past few months. And I know it's because I've been investing in my business like really heavily. I didn't like how things were starting to feel contracted. So like money was coming in. So I was doing a lot of things that I wasn't normally doing. And it started to make me feel like, okay, well, am I going to have enough to do everything that I want to do? Like, I started to feel this tightness, and I really didn't like that. And because even though I know I am miraculous, like I said, and I create a lot of wealth in my life, but I still have human moments as well. And on top of that, everybody else is talking about how miraculous March was going to be. And it was amazing, as I expected, and as it always is. It really was miraculous. And like I said, I had multiple manifestations come through, but I also decided that. And I think what it was that I had started to get to a certain point where the numbers that I was manifesting, like the amounts that I was manifesting, they were getting bigger and bigger. And I was just kind of like, the ones in March were smaller than the ones I was used to. And I know that this is going to sound strange. And, I always tell you guys, like, this isn't to complain or to brag or any of those things. It's more like I'm making myself aware, and then I'm making you aware, because I want to show you things that transpire when certain things happen. So the manifestations were smaller. And I was just thinking to myself, like, okay, God, like, I see you, I see you, and I'm grateful. Like, I always want to express gratitude and let God know, like, thank you, I am grateful, right? But then at the same time, I was just kind of like, I see you, and I know that there are a lot of foundations and things that have to be structured in my business, and a lot of, like, just being visible and just getting out and getting people on my channel and stuff like all that stuff takes energy and time, even though I don't believe that things have to take time. But I just know that if we're going to be in the reality of things, we can consider that, okay, this stuff just takes time to build. Like, it's not the end of the world. But I was just thinking to myself, because even if all the money that comes doesn't come from my business, that's okay. Like, I'm not expecting like millions in my business yet necessarily, even though I know anything is possible. And that's why I'm trying to choose my words carefully, because I think everything is about what you truly believe deep down, right? So if you think that things take time, if you believe that things take time, then they'll take time. If you believe that things can come in the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger, like if you believe that God can work miracles out of the blue for you, then those things can happen. So you have to make space for that, right? And a lot of times people think that that's, like, I see people on the internet now always talking about being delusional and like all that kind of stuff. And, maybe some level of delusion is necessary, but I don't really think that's what it is. I just think that it's a matter of, I believe that God is God, and I believe that miracles are possible, and I believe that miracles are happening all the time. So why not let them happen to me? Like, who deserves miracles more than I do? You know what I'm saying? And I think that's just kind of like the vibe and the energy that you have to have. So it wasn't that I was saying to God, like, what I had received wasn't good enough. It was more like, okay, well, I have a particular baseline now. Like, I'm past this point right here. Like, I want to go further. You said this is the year of millions and miracles. Like, you actually told me that this was the year of millions and miracles. That's what you told me in January. So you kind of started this, right? So then I want to see more. Like, I'm excited. Let's go. Like, what else you got? And like I said, I've been making a lot of bold moves and a lot of bold decisions and things like that. So I felt like you were guiding me to make those decisions. So now I have to pay for these things, and I have to maintain and sustain. And so I need you to show up in an even bigger way, because the way people were describing it, and I know that people on the internet are people on the internet. So, some things you got to take with a grain of salt. And I know that, your algorithm is your algorithm, and things you watch, you're going to continue to bring more things into your space that, I mean, honestly, it feels like the algorithm works a lot like the law of attraction, right? It's just like you think a positive thought, another thought comes in, and it just kind of continues to do that. Same thing with the algorithm. But I only watch certain people on my socials, if I even go on socials. And I don't care whether I was on YouTube, Instagram, everybody in my feeds were talking about this. Like, this month, March was going to be amazing. And then April, once we got close to April, that was the next one. Like, oh my God, April's going to be this and April's going to be that. So I was just like, okay, God, I'm ready. Like, bring it on. Show me what you got. And so I prayed my show me something tangible prayer. I shared that with you guys in the last audio. So if you haven't heard that one, you should go back and listen to it. But like I said, I know that your algorithm's going to bring things to you or whatever, but I literally take everything as a sign from God if it's something that resonates deeply with me and I feel like it feels right in my spirit. Like, of course, you have to use discernment, but I only follow a handful of people. But the craziest thing is that they were all saying the same thing. So I chose to receive those messages. Like, I literally make everything mean that my stuff is happening, right? Like, even if it's not favorable all the time, just like when I was starting to feel tight or when I was feeling uninspired or feeling like I didn't want to show up, I make everything mean that whatever is happening is making me better, stronger, wiser, and now richer too. I'm gonna add that because it's a decision. And so you have to start making everything mean that my manifestation is on the way. My money is on the way. my millions are on the way, my miracles are on the way, right? Miracles are happening. And so I was kind of just looking at it like March was great. But now if people are saying April's going to be even better, I really want to see something amazing. I want to see even more, God. I want to see something tangible. I want to see even more tangible things, God. Because how many of you know that when God gives you something to teach, it's always for you first? Just like I tell you guys with the surrender experience, everything I've ever taught, God is always teaching me first. So I had to learn that lesson first, right? And so I've prayed that prayer multiple times lately, even though I hadn't really prayed it that often since I told you guys that I prayed it in 2016. Like I said, I talked about this in the previous audio. So if you haven't heard it, listen to that one because I share a lot of the behind the scenes of the stuff that you're hearing now. So I'm not going into as much detail as I did there. So if you want to know more about that kind of stuff, go back and listen to that one. But yeah, you always have to learn that lesson first and then you can share it with other people. So even though I had already shared that prayer with you guys and I had suggested that you guys pray it, well, when I do that, like when God tells me something and I teach it and then I haven't been practicing it like actively, God will challenge me in it, right? So for example, when I teach surrender, it's like, have you been surrendering as much as you can, Tiffany? Or when I say pray the show me something tangible. Well, have you been praying that prayer? And I even remember back in 2024, I taught a masterclass on the art of asking. And God was like challenging me. Well, are you asking, Tiffany? And so he will definitely be on me about stuff like that. So God challenged me. And when I was starting to feel kind of pressed against the edges this week, I was like, show me something tangible, God. And that's the thing, because normally a manifestation like the one I got in March, the multiple manifestations I got in March, I would have just accepted as enough. Like I would have just been like, this is amazing. This is great. Like it's funny because I literally saw a post yesterday and said something along the lines of, it's time for you to ask for more. You've been settling for far too long and calling it gratitude. And there's nothing wrong with gratitude. Obviously, I teach gratitude. I actually encourage gratitude because I think it's super, super important. Gratitude is insanely powerful. So there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that sometimes we get too like, well, I should just be grateful and I shouldn't ask for any more. And I told you guys about this in the last audio. Like I just felt like I don't want to be greedy or like I don't want to sound like I'm just using God for what I can get. But I know God knows better than that because we have a very deep relationship. So it's not like I'm just seeking God for his hand and not seeking his face. I'm always seeking God's face and he knows that. So I feel like I can be bold and ask for more when I want to see more. And I also just think that I have been being very like, especially in the past few years, just kind of like allowing myself to just get comfortable and just allowing myself to get too satisfied, to just like, okay, this is enough. Like I can't, how dare I ask for more? Like my life is so blessed. I shouldn't ask for anything else. But I think that that's ridiculous. Like I think that God wants us to ask for more and we should be asking for more. And so, like I said, normally I would have just accepted this manifestation. And I feel like 2025 Tiffany would have been just fine with that. But then I was thinking to myself, well, if this is the year of millions of miracles, like you said, then I know there's more where that came from. So show me. Yeah. And then there was this immediate feeling like, and a really honest moment of, am I asking for too much? Is this too bold? Is this too audacious? But I didn't back down. I asked anyway, because like I said, when God challenged me back in 2024 to ask more, I really don't ask a lot. I really don't ask for a lot because 9 times out of 10, I'm praying prayers of gratitude or I am just surrendering and allowing God to bring to me what he wants me to have. But God really has been challenging me to start asking. And I actually had caught a YouTube video recently where the girl was saying like, this is a season of speaking. Like you have to speak. And I don't speak as much as I should because a lot of times what I'll do is I'll record things and then I'll listen to it over and over again. So I'm not actively speaking all the time. And they're both equally powerful. So I can't say one's more powerful than the other necessarily. But sometimes I do think that, especially when you're asking for things, you do want to ask out loud. You want to speak. You want to verbalize it, right? So that's what I did. And so when I taught that lesson about asking, God challenged me. And so I feel like he's challenging me now because you're always in a state of asking. Always. I don't want to go too deep here, but I'll just say we're always asking with our energy, with our behaviors, our thoughts, all of those different things. But sometimes we need to speak the word. Sometimes we need to talk and ask God. We need to actually ask God, I need or desire this thing. I'm asking for this thing. Can I have this thing? And there are lots of other ways that you can pray and ask for things in much more powerful ways than just asking if you can have it and those kinds of things. Like I said, too much to get into today, but definitely verbalize your desires and what you want and need from God because God is always listening. And then so I wake up that morning, the next day after I had that bold conversation with God, I spoke some things. I looked up 10 scriptures, but after I read those scriptures and I made sure that I read them out loud because I wanted to speak them into the atmosphere. And then the manifestation dropped in, literally like less than an hour later. And I was just like, whoa, like, oh, so you're working fast right now. Like, you're not playing. And it was something that was far more than like any manifestation, like one of the best ones I've ever received. And I don't like to get into all the numbers and stuff because I'm not somebody who flaunts all that stuff all over the internet like most people do. I don't feel the need to talk about how much money and stuff like that. Like I told you guys, they are 4 and 5 figure manifestations. So that's important to know because like I said, it's not just small amounts. This is like serious money that God just will drop in. So I just want you guys to know, like, I really want you guys to see how God moves, and he'll move quickly when you move quickly. Every bold decision, that's really what my audio was about last time, was really talking about bold decisions. But since I started talking about all those manifestations I received in the past year, I really wanted to title it Getting Paid to Exist because I wanted people to really pay attention to it because it's deeper than just, I mean, bold decisions is huge, but it's so much more than that. Like getting, oh God, I just have so much bubbling up on the inside of me. And this is what happens when I sit and be like, oh, I don't have anything of value to share. And then I realize like, girl, if you don't go out here and talk to these people and tell these people about what God is doing in your life, like you need to stop acting crazy. So I really wanted you guys to see, but every bold decision that I made this year and over the past year has been followed by provision, miraculous provision. Okay. Oh my God. That day that I was telling you guys that I was having that bold conversation with God, that night I needed to make a purchase. It was something that my daughters wanted that I had kind of already promised them. And I was like, dang, I really don't want to spend this money right now because I got a lot going on right now. I got things that I need to make sure I pay. I got things I want to make sure that I got in place. And I don't really want to spend this money. But I was like, but you know what? God is God, and I am God's daughter, and I am always well loved, well provided for, well taken care of. So if God is infinite, then I'm infinite. So why am I stressed about whether I'm gonna put this money out? I know the money's going to come back to me. So why am I worried? And I literally just hit the button and made the purchase. But so even when I made that choice to invest in my coach back in May, I did not have that money. 3 times the amount plus the amount that I needed came. So first the amount that I needed came. I joined it, and then I got 3 times the amount after that. I got another really insane one in August, in November. Like this was constant. Every time it felt like, okay, I got this nice manifestation, but now I'm getting close to a place where, you know, I need more money coming in, that kind of thing. And I'll just be kind of like looking at my business like I need my business to start popping off. But it's not like I'm not stressed about the business, right? Because I know I get paid to exist. So then it's like, okay, God, well, this is what I need right now. It's almost like, I mean, God is my father. He's like my husband. Also, he's just my everything. So I feel like when I need something, that's who I go to. And it's interesting because I don't like to call it a duality, but there is this life that I have where I have a very wealthy husband who takes care of things. But like, I want to do things for myself too. And I'm doing things for myself, like in my business and things like that, things that I have to invest in. I have things that I pay for in my business, all those different things. Like those are things that I really don't want to have to burden my husband with anyway, because he is already taking care of the household and doing all the other things that he does. So if I can handle things, I like to handle them on my own, which is why I go to God for what I need. It's like, okay, well, this is what I need, God, you know? And I think that that's why I envy. I don't want to say I envy. How do I say this? I feel like single women, and I've said this before, I say this all the time, honestly. Like, I love that that I have a husband. I think being married is beautiful, but at the same time, it's like single women, y'all should take full advantage of this because you don't have to deal with a man to now having a man is great because he can be the masculine energy in your life and that does make things easier for you. But when you're a single woman, God can be that masculine energy for you. He can be it for you anyway, even when you are married, and I take full advantage of that. But what I'm saying is that I feel like sometimes single women might feel like, oh, I don't have a partner and things like that, so I have to do everything myself. Everything's all on me, but it's not. It's not. You have direct access to God because you don't even have to go through another human. You don't have to deal with another ego. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. You can just go straight to the source. God will provide for you. So it's something that women really have to understand. We can stay in our feminine energy and not have to be out here hustling and doing all these things because we can allow God to provide for us just like a husband would. I promise you he will. He does it for me all the time. Your job is to ask and then move like the answer is already yes, because that kind of action demonstrates faith. Because that divine edge of audacity, like where I was that day when I was having that conversation with God, that's exactly where faith lives. That's how you demonstrate your faith. That's how you tell God, I believe you, I trust you, now show me the fruits of what I'm doing. Show me that what I'm doing is working. Bold asking is an act of faith, and God responds to faith. Yes? And I feel like people look at like the faith without works is dead. Like we really need to reframe that scripture because I think a lot of people think that means faith without works. Like I got to be hustling. I got to be working, like physical work, physical action. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says that works, quote unquote, is that type of action. I'm not going to get into that. I'll teach it in the course. So if you want to know, I'm about to tell you about it right now. Okay. But a decision can be the work. Prayer can be the work. Surrender, meditation, all of those things. I don't know why y'all let people on the internet tell y'all that you can't, quote unquote, sit around and meditate and manifest. And people will look at me and be like, well, she got a husband that makes plenty of money, so of course she can do that. But money doesn't just come from him. It's coming from everywhere. God is providing. And it's been this way since like 2012 for me. It's been this way for years. And I'm really starting to really get serious about it again, because I lost a lot of that fire around 2020. Like, a lot of things started happening in my life. I won't get into it, but there were a lot of things that changed how I was doing things. But when I got back into this place, which was basically like 2025, is when I really started to get serious again. Like, wait a minute. You're playing. You're settling for, and it's not that, like I said, I have a beautiful life, but you're settling for this life that you have right now. And even though there was a next level that I wanted to go to, it wasn't enough to get me excited. But this year, when God started dropping these downloads, and I was like, oh, you're trying to do something really big. Like, I was thinking too small. So that's what really started to get me excited about my goals again. Just like I was telling you guys, like when I started working with my coach, that's the first thing she said. You need to 10x your goals and stop playing around with these little things, because they're not enough to motivate you or to really drive you towards what you want. You got to think bigger. So yeah, I really want you to see how God provides miraculous provision. That's what God keeps bringing to me. And actually, there have been multiple ideas and things that God has brought to me. And so I want to take a second to share something, because I feel like God has been building something really specific this year, like an entire ecosystem. And I want you to know what is coming so you can decide ahead of time if it's for you, right? So I talked a little bit about the Millions and Miracles realm on the Day 4 Part 2 audio for Surrender Business. So you can learn more about it there. But God and I together have been building out a complete journey. And I mean, I say God and I, but really God. And I'm just writing it down and doing what He's telling me to do. But when I say complete, I mean from the very foundation of what it means to surrender your business to God, all the way to what it looks like to create your income from a completely different dimension than most women in businesses are operating from. So we start with the surrender experience, which you get the first 7 days on the YouTube channel. You get all of the practices and all of the things that you need, the assignments, everything that really like takes it to another level. And then you get the additional 14 days. So the full 21-day surrender business immersion, which is where the foundation gets rooted, right? Where surrender stops being something that you kind of just understand, or you just kind of conceptualize, or you just kind of do from time to time. And it becomes something that you actually live every single day. And then we have the Miraculous Flow experience. And I talked about this I think I shared in one of the most recent audios I did, God's Divine Blueprint for Millions and Miracles. I was talking about how you work in miraculous flow, where everything you practice starts showing up. So like as you learn to embody surrender, it starts showing up in your content, your offers, your voice, where you stop creating from pressure and force, and you start creating directly from the source, right? Because God is bigger than just paying your bills. And I don't even think people are fully stepping into that either. You're not really benefiting from that either, because you don't know that you can, or some people just don't realize how much God wants to do for you. So those are the courses where I really want to share that with you. And then Miraculous Provision is one of my favorite ones, probably the one I'm most excited about right now, because this is where we get into what it actually looks like to get paid to exist. And actually, I got the idea from Miraculous Flow first, because I started talking about that first, but I really think I might release Miraculous Provision first, because I just feel like now is the time. It just feels very timely right now. But this is where we get into what it actually looks like to get paid to exist, and how we allow God to be the masculine force in our lives, and to boldly ask and expect tangibly, and live in a land that flows. Listen, y'all, literally, I heard God say, the land flowing with milk and honey. Like, you need to know that that's what this is. When you're talking about miraculous provision, the land flowing with milk and honey. And I was just like, oh my God. Okay. So I'm not going to get deep into that, obviously, but I just want you to know, God wants us to live in a land that flows, and is flowing with milk and honey. Okay. And then the miraculous design portion of it, that's where everything becomes personal, because the way surrender and overflow and source-based creation look in your life and business is specific to how God designed you, how He wired you, your energy, your authority, your natural rhythm. Like, it's literally in your DNA. And that's why I tell you, like, people think that we need to be out here trying to source all the content from what we're seeing on the internet and asking ChatGPT and all of that. No, this is where you stop trying to build someone else's business or vision, and you start building yours from God's divine blueprint. And then, of course, there's Millions and Miracles, which came out in February. So that one's already there. And it's really the heartbeat of everything. It's the reason why the realm exists and carries this name. Like, I actually named this realm the Millions and Miracles realm because this idea came to me after I got the download for Millions and Miracles. So this is where we go deep into what it actually looks like to build toward millionaire impact and income from a surrendered place, from the frequency of a woman who has done the inner work, knows who she is, and is ready to see it produce at a high level. And there's so much more coming. God has been downloading this whole thing in real time, and I am just following where he leads. I mean, this is just, when I tell you it's just been extraordinary just to experience. If any of this is speaking to something in you, the Millions and Miracles realm is where all of this lives. And right now you can get in at the founding member rate, but it will increase. As a matter of fact, it may double very soon. So I want to put that out there for you guys to know. Because if you think this is for you, if these courses resonate with you, if this idea of getting paid to exist and understanding your human design and how God designed you so you can make that work in your business, if sourcing your content straight from God instead of trying to look everywhere outside of you to find it, all of those different things, if those things resonate with you, and of course surrender, because if I feel like if you're here, this is what brought you here, surrender probably had to bring you here. So all of these things, if they resonate with you, I'm going to put links in the comments, but get into the Millions and Miracles realm because it is going to be such a powerful space, and it's going to be the place. It is the place for women entrepreneurs who want to live with God as their CEO and have a business where God is their CEO and know that everything that they do is sourced and taken care of by God. So you can stop trying to do everything on your own because it's not meant to be that way. Yeah. So I want you just to remember, like, show me more, God. Show me something tangible. That should be our prayer for this season. This Millions and Miracles era is something serious. I didn't know, like when God dropped it in January, I had no idea where it was going to go, but I already see insane miracles happening and the money is flowing and it's crazy and I just can't even wrap my head around it. So just trust the process and know that God is doing amazing things behind the scenes, and I know he wants to do them for you. If he can do them for me, he can do them for you. If he is doing them for me, he wants to do them for you too. You just got to get yourself in the place to receive it. Okay? Like, I'm choosing to run my business this way. And so it's taking practice even for me. But I know that it will pay off over time, and I know that you guys will get to see how it's paying off, and that's what will matter the most. But I think God just wanted to make clear, like, this is what I can do when you give me the reins. When you're not trying to control everything, when you're not trying to do all the things, when you're not feeling like you can't stop for a minute because it's your birthday, or you can't stop and spend time with your family. Like, for example, actually she's a colleague, but also a mentor. But one of the ladies that I started out my journey with, she was in that very first coaching class that I took. And she recently decided to take off like the full month. And then she was just like, I've never done this. Mind you, we took that course together in 2015 and it is now 2026 and she's never taken a full month. I think that we all just deserve to have time off, especially because when you're going through things, she's going through something really heavy in her life. And so she felt like she needed to take some extended time off. And I think that that's so important. And I honestly take time off all the time. Like, I used to set my programs up and stuff like that where I could take the last few months of the year off in the very beginning of the year. Cause I know we usually, like, there's holidays and we usually take vacation around that time. And I don't want to be consumed with work. I like building a business around my life. I don't want my business to run my life. Yeah. And so I think it's so important that we take time off and all of those things. It's okay to not be on every day all the time. And so I just chose, like, during this last few weeks or whatever, I chose to relax into it. It's almost like I felt myself getting pressed against the edges. And then I felt like God was just saying, like, relax, my child. Like, it's okay to take a break. It's okay to rest. And I want you to see how I show up when you take time for yourself and when you slow down and listen to me and hear me. I got so many amazing ideas and all of that stuff during that time that I was just relaxing. So I spent more time with God. I spent more time with my family. I spent more time listening to my own coaches and all of that, which also gets me really inspired again. I just allowed myself to care for myself. I allowed myself to just be in the moment and simply exist, because that is all okay. Right? Because I believe that God has me in a season of full surrender and trust. And so even when I feel pushed to the edges, and even when I feel like I should be creating and I should be showing up and I should be doing this and I should be doing that, I really don't let myself get frantic about it anymore. And anytime I feel that coming up, because it does, I shut it down and I allow myself to step back and lean more on God, right? And I surrender because I want to know, like, should I be moving more, or is it okay for me to take this break? And God will answer when you ask questions. It's okay to ask for guidance. I just allow myself to be human and imperfect. And there's a scripture that says his strength is made perfect. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. So I think that we got to walk around being strong all the time and doing everything for ourselves. And it's not really necessarily meant to be that way. God wants to take care of you. So now I'm not saying he doesn't want to take care of men, but I just feel like, especially women, like he wants to take care of us. He wants to do things. He wants to be that masculine energy in our lives. So let him do that. And we're actually going to be talking about this a lot very soon coming up, because day 5 and day 6 talk a lot about this in the Surrender Business Experience. So look forward to those, okay? But when I just decide to sit back and relax and rest, that's me living what I teach. That's me embodying surrender business and allowing God to take the lead in my life and in my business. And that's the thing too, because I might have looked at March and said, well, you didn't really work as much in March. Maybe you don't deserve, like when I was having that whole conversation with God or whatever, there was a part of me that could have been like, well, I didn't do that much work in March, so maybe that's why my manifestations were smaller or whatever. But no, I wasn't going to accept that, because I feel like God is guiding me to rest. He's the one that I feel is encouraging me to do that. Like he's teaching me. I definitely feel like it's interesting, because this season just feels like, yeah, no, I'm not going to let you be in that frantic energy. I want you to see this, because, and I know that that's why my business isn't moving the way that I want it to move. Like I don't have a ton of like viewers and a ton of subscribers and stuff like that yet, because I know God is teaching me a very valuable lesson. And I know that it's a lesson I need to learn, because when I'm in front of the audience, I feel more pressure to perform and to do the things that I need to do and put things out and to have all this stuff ready. And it gets very frantic for me. And I think what he's showing me is, listen, the more you take it slow, the more you listen to me, the more you focus on me, the more I can unfold this the way that you want it to be. Because at the end of the day, I want it to be his way, right? At the end of the day, I want it to be on his timeline, because I'm only on his timeline and only on his payroll. So I'm not pressed to have it unless I have it the way that I know it's meant to be. I want it to unfold the way that he wants it to unfold in my life. Yeah, I don't want to be in control of it. I just want it to unfold the way that he wants it to unfold. So I'm not in a rush. It's not a race. I don't feel like I have to get there super fast or anything. I'm totally cool with how it's unfolding, because I know that when it's a big audience here and there's a lot of energy and a lot of things going on, it's going to take, more time and more effort and more energy and things like that. And I know that God is preparing me for that season. He's like, this is the time to rest. This is the time to chill, because it is going to be a point where you have lots of people watching you and lots of things going on, and you're going to have to be working more, and I'm still not going to be constantly doing a bunch of stuff, because I feel like he's still making that clear too. It's not necessary. But you may feel a little more pressure to do those things. And so sometimes I think as I grow more and I don't like to take in all those beliefs like more money, more problems, more money, more responsibility. But it is true though. So the more I grow, the more my attention is going to be put towards the business. And I understand that. And I know that he's trying to prepare me for that. Like, hey, relax, because eventually you are going to have to do that. But now you don't. So I'm trying to teach you to slow down. So even when you do have a bigger audience and things like that, you don't feel frantic about it. You can flow in it the way that I'm teaching you how to do it right now. And so, yeah. I feel like he's showing and teaching me and reminding me every day that he is the source, so that when I am working and rebuilding and as I grow and when things really start to pop off in my business, because I know it absolutely will, I'm not assuming that the business is what is bringing in the money. It's actually him as the source. Like, that's what I had to learn. That is what I'm still learning. And I think it's something that we all have to learn. God is making it clear that my wealth, your wealth, all wealth flows through him, not what I'm doing or how much or how hard I'm working. Same thing for you. And I'm really grateful for that, because I never want to put myself in a situation where I have to keep working to maintain my baseline. Don't ever put yourself in a belief system that says social media, YouTube, your clients, your job is your source, because then what happens if something changes and then you're not able to work? So it's not smart to tie your baseline to your output. Your baseline has to be tied to the source, and you have to be so connected to the source and so certain in the source that his miraculous provision is inevitable. Miraculous provision becomes your baseline. Getting paid to exist becomes your normal. So much so that you would have to actively sabotage yourself in some way for that not to be the case. None of the wealth I've created or accumulated in my life is tied to my output. I receive because I breathe. I get paid to exist. I live a wealthy and abundant life because I am one with the source of all things. My wealth is not tied to what I do. It's who I am. It's who I'm choosing to be. It's who I know God created me to be. God is my source, and I get paid to exist is my identity and the frequency I choose every day. Like, you can even think of it as like, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I believe in that every day. I trust that every day. I am certain in that every day. Now, are there days and moments that I feel very limited, very human? Yes, but I also get to choose again in those moments. Then I choose to shift back into absolute certainty by remembering who I am and who God created me to be. who I am and whose I am, right? And early on, when I had a hard time remembering it, even now when I do, I get and I stay connected to the people God placed in my life to help me remember, my coaches and my mentors. And so, yeah, and I think he wants me, he's been teaching me like getting paid to exist is my identity. Like that is what I've been learning so much from this. And it's not something that I just think is cute to say. I really had to choose that this is going to be my identity in the frequency that I live from, the signal that I'm always emitting, because that is what creates reality. There's nothing specific that I have to do to get paid to exist. All I have to do is just be me, just flow with God. Whether I'm being a mom, a wife, like homeschooling, learning, resting, whatever I'm doing, it's always my primary intention to be allowing God to flow through me. I allow myself to do the things that I want to do, that feel great to me. And that includes working in my business and all of that stuff. When that feels like the right move in the moment, because sometimes it's to be with my kids, sometimes it's to be with my husband. And I know this does come easier for me. Like this idea of resting and chilling and all of that. That comes very easy for me because I've always been this way. Like I've created a life that really allows me to be this way most of the time. The only time things get crazy is when I'm working in my business. Otherwise, my life is very chill and very relaxed. So I know that this comes easier for me than somebody who's used to the hustle and the grinding and all of those different things. But it doesn't mean that it's not possible, right? You just have to get yourself into a place where this can be constantly talked about and you can be constantly reminded of this. So you just have to make the decision, first of all, to choose this. And then you also have to make the decision to be in places and around people where this is normal. And that's why I always encourage coaching, getting into a community, getting into a space with a coach where this is talked about, where these things are practiced, so that you can practice them and learn how to be this way and learn how to step into this identity and be the person that you want to be. Because being a hustler and a grinder, it's a choice. It's an identity that you get to choose, or you can decide that, no, I get paid to exist. And yeah, it may take some practice and it may take some time before you actually start to see that manifesting and what you want to manifest in the 3D, because you've been that person who's hustled or done all the things for so long. And if you're used to working hard and all of those things, that's who you've become. But it's not hard to change your identity. You just have to make the choice and then you have to do the work that follows. You got to embody that. And eventually it'll start to take shape if you continue to decide and make that your identity. So I really hope that you got value from this. I just had a lot to share and it just kind of came pouring out. So I really hope that it's benefited you. And if you have questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you have questions about any of the things that I talked about, all of the things exist in the millions in Miracles realm. Like none of them are sold separately. Like nothing is going to be separate. It's all in one place. Okay. So if you want to get in on that, I would love to have you there so that we can practice all of these things together, because as I learn, I'm going to share with you and we're just going to be on this journey together, power to power, shoulder to shoulder. We're going to do it together and make 2026 the most insane year that we've ever had so far. Yeah. So if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Please hit the like, subscribe, notification bell, all of those things if you want to see more from me. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Mwah. Lots of love and miracles.